So we have someone on Zoom that would like to provide input. Let me let me see if we can. Dan, um, give us a minute, and we're going to check to see if your audio is working properly. If you can hear this, please give me a thumbs up. Dan, we're not hearing you. Hold on.
We still have problems with the audio. If you can somehow text the message in the box, you can answer it.
Well, he wants to provide the input for the 3 minutes. He's going to type. Okay, so Dan, hold on, and we'll tell you when you're ready to start. Well, for some reason he's not getting audio on his PC, so I'll have to read it. So, well, just some responding to someone. Okay, you ready?
He's ready.
Okay. Okay. Um, so these are comments from Dan Greenup. He's hoping that you can provide an update regarding streetlights, veterans grates, sprinklers, and the playground. Dan, do you have any other comments you'd like to make as pre-meeting comments? Not at this time. Okay, thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak? Okay, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. All right. We're going to establish a quorum. John Elkins.
Here.
David Ott.
Here.
David O'Donnell.
Here.
Rob Purcell.
Here.
Lisa DePatty.
Here.
Bill Simonelli here. We have a quorum. General Manager Chuck Heel.
Here.
Okay. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the meeting minutes from our March 27th, 2025 board meeting?
So moved. Second.
Any comment on the meeting minutes? All in favor of approving the meeting minutes from March 27th, 2025? Please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. All right. The next item on the agenda is the consideration of board candidate Stan Toro. Chuck, can you pass out the ballots, please? Since we only have one candidate, I'm going to ask you to write yes or no on the ballot.
Glasses on. 1, 2, 3. I have 4 yeses and 2 no.
Okay, Stan, you can take a seat.
Same here.
Here you go, Sam.
Okay, board president's report. Good evening and welcome to everyone joining us tonight for this regular monthly board meeting. I have several items to review before the treasurer's report. First of all, I'd like to thank all the volunteers that set up and made the Easter Bash this past weekend a success. A lot of children were in attendance. I did the photography for the event, and I saw a lot of families having fun. So kudos to everybody that put it together, volunteers and staff. The daily police patrols that were authorized at the previous board meeting have been going on for almost 2 weeks now. I think it is fair to say that we've had some positive results from these patrols, and our general manager will provide a high-level overview of the results to date. As we continue with this effort, we will keep the community apprised of results. We have a number of items to consider tonight, one of which reminds us, that we are quickly approaching the start of storm season. Now is the time to start reviewing your plans and properties to determine what steps you need to take to be prepared. With that, I'll now turn it over to the treasurer.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. So 2025 budget, year-to-date income is equal to the budget income. Home sales as of 4/21 is 16. The forecast for the year is 75. And expenses are under budget. Popular Reserve bank balance is 326,857. Fifth Third balance is 3,695,389. The market yield for Fifth Third is 3.38%, and the total reserve balance is $4,022,246. The reserve spend year to date is $65,842. Interest income from Popular Bank is a concern. The bank doesn't charge bank fees, so they give us a very low interest rate. That's something I'm going to be talking to Crescent about to see what we can do to, correct the problem. We're still having some coding issues, but my understanding is that in April's financials, we're going to see a lot of those issues corrected. I'm not promising all of them, but we're going to see a lot of them corrected. The auditing firm continues to work through issues created by the prior management company. I have been communicating with them for the last 2 or 3 days, trying to resolve issues and answering questions. I do feel a lot better since he took over, especially in the last 3 days, because he's getting to the point where we're going to have the audit completed. It will not be by the end of April, but he's hoping to have it done sometime next month. All right, year-to-date financials. The operating income is less than 1% below plan. The operating expense and positive year-to-date variance. Reserve income above plan. Reserve expense is above plan, and I need to find out why. I just saw this last week when I got the report, and I need to look into it a little further. But total income and total expense is better than plan. Major expenses. Utilities expense is above plan due to double payment that was made in January. It is my understanding that that will be corrected next month, so we will not be over budget. Contracted services and insurance are less than 1% above plan, and the overall major expenses are below plan. All right. Like I mentioned earlier, the reserve expenses is higher than planned, and I need to look into as to why. Professional services higher than planned, and that's due to Blue Stream Fiber. And once we collect the door fee, that's going to take care of that issue. Administrative higher than planned due to the number of mailings, and I expect that to level out over time. All right. The operating balance sheet. Like I mentioned last month, this is a new slide, but I'm showing both um, the reserves and operating on one sheet, and including the liability and equity numbers too. But as you can see, everything is in balance. Delinquencies. Master assessment delinquencies is still high. Last month it was 172 or 175 residents. This month it's 172, but the amount went up because of interest and late fees. Special assessment delinquencies is 97, and it's for $46,000. I'm going to be working with Precedent to notify residents that haven't paid first quarter to give them kind of a reminder, because some of it is, I believe there's some residents that when they heard that we're not going to get an interest or late fee, they're just holding off on it. And I want to let them know that's no longer true. And I also feel that there are some residents on that list that made every intention and tried to pay, but for some reason with the timing of ACH, and that you know they aren't aware that they haven't, the payment wasn't made. And by notifying them, I'm hoping that's going to correct that and get those numbers a lot farther, lower those numbers a lot. And then the reserve spend for the month of April, there really wasn't any, so the total amount remains at $65,842. And that's my report. Does anybody on the board have questions?
I have one question. I'd like to suggest that the Finance Committee start looking at what the potential impact is going to be this year with this rate increase that's being proposed by LCEC.
Yes,
Yeah, because that's been in the news. It's
yeah,
coming through
it takes effect, I believe it's October.
October. So that's
Yeah,
so that means
it's
it'll be
gonna,
a fourth quarter impact to us.
yeah.
Right.
So I will work with the finance committee to look into that.
Okay, very good. Do any other board members have a question for Dave? All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dave. Okay. The next item on the agenda is for violation account number 9795262 CFC. Violation is Whitestone mulch. Do I have a motion to assess penalty $100 a day?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor of approving the penalty on account 9795262 CFC, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye. None opposed? Thank you. Next item is the general manager report.
Three violations.
No, there's two have been taken off.
Oh, okay.
We're fine. Okay.
Okay. I can, I'm not sure if I heard all, Mr. Greenup's, question was
streetlights, playground, and
It's Veterans Gate
and
and
what?
sprinklers.
Sprinklers. Okay.
I think sprinklers is referring to the sprinkler times.
Irrigation. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay.
I'll talk about that one first. We've planted a lot of sod in the all through the esplanades, and it allows us to water those multiple times a week and during the day. The magnitude of the amount of sod that we have, um, we really have to keep it wet. And to do that, we're doing it during the day. I've asked the irrigation team to check to make sure that there's no overspray onto the sidewalks, but when there's any kind of wind, it's going to push the sprinkler, it's going to push the water onto the sidewalk. So there's not much we can do about that, but I did have the irrigation team make sure that it's not purposely splashing onto the sidewalk. Streetlights, LCEC finally came through and fixed the majority of the streetlights with the exception of the two that were struck by lightning. That has been deferred until they can bore new lines underneath the ground to replace the wires that were damaged during the lightning. They don't know, there's no estimated time when they're going to be able to get that accomplished. We keep asking them every week to give us an update. We'll continue to do that. But they have addressed, and we have did an inventory as of on Thursdays. Our security guard goes through at night and makes sure list any that have gone out. Some do from week to week. You know, we'll have a different one go out, but we're making tracking of those and getting them to LCEC. The playground, can I jump in?
Yeah, do it.
You got it? So the playground, unfortunately, we're still in a holding pattern. We're now told May 8th is when their estimated ship date for the parts that we need. Just to refresh everyone, we ordered parts, they were delivered in January, they turned out to be the wrong parts. In short, there's 4 steps out there. They sent us 3 steps. Does us no good to have 3 steps when we need 4 steps. So we've had a couple of conversations with the sales guy, and to be frank, we all know the amount of expansion that Florida is going under. Municipalities putting in parks left and right, very expensive, multi-million-dollar parks, condo communities, all of which brand new playgrounds. And then we raise our hand to have some parts made. And they know we're probably not going to go back to them again and use them as a vendor. It's not like you change the playground completely. So we need them as a resource to provide us parts. The playground is inspected every 2 years by a professional inspection company. We will have discussions with the inspection company to see if there's any other part manufacturers we can use other than the manufacturer who built this, because it's been 6 months at least that we've not been able to get parts for the playground. So right now we're hopeful. May 9th, hopefully at the next meeting, I can report if they're on their way. But there's only, I wish I can do something more than that, but that's my report. Other news, the restroom exterior doors on the clubhouse are going to be taken down, sanded, and painted. They're in desperate need of getting cleaned up, which means we'll have to there'll be some times when you'll have to go all the way around inside the clubhouse to use the doors while we're working on those doors. The pool equipment overhaul project, we've finally gotten to a point where we're going to be requesting board approval for half of the payment for the pool motors and equipment overhaul, which we're trying to schedule. We are also waiting on a electrical permit with the same project. There's both electrical and mechanical things that will be replaced. Additionally, we got approval, budgeted and approved through the reserve, additional security cameras for the back of the clubhouse and the back of the Pelican building and part of the pool. which is kind of like a blind spot for us. As many of you know, when you try to exit out the Veterans Gate, the exit tower on the right sometimes lets you out and sometimes it doesn't. We're looking to replace all three of the old version exit towers, which are the two at Veterans and the one at Trafalgar. The one at Pine Island was replaced after Ian. So that's kind of my report. Any questions from the board? Yes, sir.
The sensors for that, some sort of loop in the ground, or what's the sensing for the exit? It used to be some loop in the ground.
Yeah, the loop in the ground works. It's the technology and the mechanical side of it. It's not triggering to push the mechanical side to open the gate or to open the bar end gate.
It's getting the signal, is not paying attention.
Yeah. Any other questions?
Talk about the police
Oh,
patrols.
yes. As Bill mentioned, we're in week 2 of police patrols. I will say that there have been several encounters that have been corrected, by the presence of the police. I really don't want to get into the specific details, but there has been a lot less noticeable issues with their presence, and we are moving their hours around, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. So there's no predictability as to when that they're going to be on property, but they'll be here for 4 hours each night, and we'll do an assessment. I think we said in September.
Yes, well, we'll have to do it before, like around Labor Day, because the original application was to September 15th.
But I'll report monthly on any progress that we have there. But so far, it seems to be beneficial.
Any questions for Chuck? Okay. Thank you, Chuck. All right. Under old business, we have a proposal from the art committee to modify the standards. Do I have a resolution to that, Rob?
So make a resolution to approve the changes as in your packet.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Okay, Rob, please go ahead.
This is to cover especially in phase 1, there was multiple places where the builder put these in. They were never added to the specifications or rules, whatever you want to say. So we've taken this step to correct that and make them available to residents that want to use it. It's got to be attached to the house. It can't go any further than the edge of the house. And it's, as you can see by these examples, the white squares are, this is the aluminum that will flat. Usually they're angled to drain, but they're aluminum rather than screen. So.
Does anybody have questions for Rob? John?
Yeah, my comment is that I support this because although I had voted against this resolution back a couple of years ago, this new resolution clarifies it that it's only allowed when it's an extension from behind the house due to a pool, which is really limits the coverage flow. And it will also make sure it's adequately braced.
Right, I think, and it's only can go to the width of the house. I think one of the concerns, the way it was worded a couple years ago, was that it could be turned into a carport.
Right. So this
And there was some concern about the way it was worded back then.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, I have a question. In terms of wind strength, how is that rated? Is it going to be an issue when hurricanes come through? And then my second question is, you said that it was done in phase 1. How many of these slanted roofs do we have in Sandoval? I thought it was a very low number.
Somebody counted them. I think there's 20 or 30
Okay.
around. Now, and I've not heard any loss of one of these from wind damage that I know of. These are pictures, recent pictures of houses that were standing and didn't have damage from Ian or the other hurricanes.
Okay.
So, but it's tied. They have to be tied into the main house beam, the super gutter that most of us have that have lanais, and then into the structure of the lanai itself.
All right.
Okay. Any other, Stan, you have a question on this?
No, I remember when we went over this before, yeah. And those roofs, from my understanding, are like the same that the school systems use, and they're pretty solid, from what I remember.
Okay, good. So, Rob, one concern I have is that, and this predates you getting involved. So, the ARC has not been very good at getting the master guideline document up to date. So, if this passes tonight, will the ARC now start updating the architectural guidelines to include this change plus any other changes that have been approved lately?
Yeah, we had questions about that when we had our last meeting, and because of some other one that we knew we'd passed and we couldn't find it, and Marty found the one list that only goes up to 2020,
Right.
and she reported back to me that I believe Al, yeah, Allison was doing communications,
Okay.
had done it up through 2022. I don't know where it is,
Okay.
but
So you
and-
mean
or,
are we seeing Elson or Denise?
I mean Denise, but
Okay.
Grady updated it so before he left,
All right.
from what I'm understanding. I'd have to go through all the things, but to find them is a computer nightmare.
Uh,
So I will look into that and try to get them
okay.
all upgraded, and then so that they're all updated on the Sandoval.
All right. And if you need any help from a word editing perspective, I'm more than happy to help out with that if we can pull this together. Because I've had a couple residents confused about not seeing everything that they thought was in there.
Yeah, that's the thing, and it's just like I don't know why they're not. It's like you look up, the fence regulations,
Right.
and it's bronze. Well, we approved
Black.
black
Right.
a year ago.
Right.
It's not there yet.
Well, and in fairness to the ARC, I mean, they had their hands full with all the roof applications after Ian, in terms of the volume of work they had to go through. So it's, now hopefully we got a bit of a breather. We can hopefully get
Yeah.
things caught up at this point.
We'll work to get caught up.
Yeah.
I do know that when this first came up, I actually went out to the website and went into their directory and looked at the documents under ARC, and the document that's available on the website is the most current one that's in the database, because I thought maybe it was just an issue of the document was out there, but the link wasn't changed, and that's not the case. So
Well, what was the date of the
I'd have to go.
update?
I'd have to go back and look, but I can look and let you know. I just
Yeah,
know.
if you would please, because the one I found, like I said, Denise was keeping them up, and the one I did find on Live Sandoval, which took me 10 minutes to find it, was only went up to 2020.
Mhm.
All the board changes.
Yeah.
But Marty says that Grady did it up through 22. I don't know where that is, so I have to go back to Marty and say, or talk to Grady and say, where is it?
All right.
So,
Okay. All right.
but yeah, that will definitely tackle that.
Thank you, Rob. So are we ready to vote on the proposed change? All those in favor of the proposed change to the ARC rules, please say aye and raise your hand. Aye. Just as a note, the reason why I asked to raise your hands is that so people on video can see if they're not hearing properly. So that's why I'm asking that again. Okay. New business. That's me. Okay. So the first item under new business is the approval of current board term committee members. So can we all go to the list? Because I think we've got a little bookkeeping to do with this list. Okay, so I ask for everybody's indulgence as we sort of work through this. Okay. So let's start with the art committee. So Rob, from your perspective, is that an accurate list?
No,
Who are we missing?
James resigned.
Gene Dad has resigned. Okay.
No, James
Oh, James Galantano. Okay. Right.
Galantano.
Okay.
and Andrew wants to be a member.
Okay.
I
So
told him to get the forms into Chuck prior to the meeting, but maybe he didn't get them done.
okay. So we can vote on Andrew at the next meeting, but
Okay.
he
Yeah.
can. You see, since he's been a member, he can obviously sit in on the meetings.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Covenants violations, John.
Covenant stands as is.
So my understanding that
But,
Christine
wait a
Peterson
minute,
and
wait a minute.
Donna Dunker have resigned from the committee.
I didn't know that.
Yes,
Christine,
Christine resigned. She sent an email to the whole board with
I'm
announcing her resignation.
yes, you're right.
And Donna emailed me that her and Bill have other priorities right now, so they've left all their committee activities.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So
But the remaining members have their code of ethics and those
Yeah.
things from before.
yeah, so we're all good there.
Right.
Communications committee.
Yep, that looks correct.
Okay. All right, and you're still looking for a chairperson for the committee, right? Okay, new chairperson. Finance committee. David.
Beth Ann and Lynn need to be removed.
Okay. Yeah, Lynn is no longer a member of the community, and Beth Ann resigned from all activities. Okay,
I do have a question though.
shoot.
With these check marks, since these are all members that were on it last year, don't they automatically, their code of ethics and application carries over?
Yes, we're trying to
Okay.
streamline the paperwork process.
Okay.
Yes. So last year was sort of like a reset because nothing had been done to reset the committees for the last several years. So
Okay.
So we're just trying to be, efficient with that going forward. Okay. Lakes Committee. As far as I know, John, there was at least one person that's resigned from the Lakes Committee.
Well, we got Tricia, Brian. I don't think so.
Okay.
I was counting on James, know that, but
All right. Okay. Moving on, Landscape Committee. David.
Remove Pam Lippert, Lynn Berry, Linda Duclos,
wow.
and that's it.
Okay, so basically it's Sandra, Bob, and Lynn.
Correct.
Okay. And so you're selecting chairperson.
Yes, I am. I'm still
Okay.
begging people. They bring anything up to me about landscaping. I ask them if they want to join.
And I'm sure they're all jumping to say, oh yeah.
That's why it's so small.
Yeah, okay. All right. Amenity and Gym Committee. Rob.
Yeah, it, wait a minute. Yeah, no, that's correct. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right.
Brain fog.
Okay. So we have a check mark for Ann Ingram, but we still need to make sure she gets her code of ethics form signed.
She hasn't signed that yet.
Well, we don't have it as of when this was sent, so we just need to close the loop on that one.
Okay.
If she sent it in, it's probably sitting in someone's inbox. We just need to get that clarified. Okay.
That's why it's red.
Dog Park Subcommittee.
Okay, take Jim off and Elizabeth off, and then the remaining three are good, and I'm recruiting one more person that I don't have a firm commitment yet, but I know the process, so,
Okay,
Liz and else, yeah,
yeah, she's off.
I know Lily should be gone.
okay. Okay, Safety and Security Committee. I'd like to put that on hold, and we'll discuss that at next month's meeting, if everybody's okay with that.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Social Committee.
Lucy's off,
Lucy Nesto's off.
right?
Alexandra's off.
What's that?
Alexandra Sanchez, she's off.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So the only new person really, if I understand correctly, is Kim. Am I pronouncing her name correctly? Whitley?
Well, Lori Bernard got on there. She's on there too.
Lori
Yeah,
Bernard.
she's on,
She's on the list.
she's on the top.
Yeah,
She's third from the top. So, okay. All right. Risk. Okay. Any other comments on social? Okay. Risk management. All these individuals are no longer on risk management. They have all resigned from the committee.
really.
Wow.
Ouch.
Strategic planning.
I'm still trying to get my hands around this, but I think that's correct.
Well, so Jack resigned last year, mid-year, before he joined the board.
Okay.
I am not familiar with Kenneth or Sandra, and I'm not quite sure if Jerry's still been involved with that. So I think you probably got to at least close the loop with these three individuals.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay. Neighborhood reps. I believe this list is accurate. Any questions or comments on this?
I know we need one on Land Bay.
Yes. You know, Debbie had sent out a recruitment email to land base to try to get someone, at least one or two people to step forward on that. Okay. All right. Rules Committee. Kathleen Faustini is not on the Rules Committee anymore. I believe Lucy Nesto and Bill Nesto have both left the committee also. I am not sure about the status of Bob Matula, Anthony Volpe, or David Kohler. I will reach out to them and check to see if they're still interested in serving on that committee. Okay. All right. Ad hoc internet committee.
We know Steve has moved to.
Steve is no longer with the committee. He's in sunny Sicily. David Hiller is still on the committee. Frank Hennigan is now chairperson of the committee. Bill Overhauser is on the committee. Alex Short is not on the committee. Bill Dunker has resigned from all committee activities too.
I thought he stayed on.
He did.
He's on just the legal. We'll get to that in a minute.
Oh, okay.
Okay. And Wyatt Krasikoff has been attending some of the meetings, so I have to cross check with him to see if he's still interested in being part of that. It's right now it's shifted to overseeing the construction phase that we'll talk about in a few minutes. Okay. The ad hoc committee on legal representation, John Grohl is on the committee.
Yes.
And I believe last month we also approved Bill Dunker to be on the committee.
Bill
Yeah.
Dunker,
Yeah.
Rob Ron, and
David
Dave Hill
Hill.
is the chairperson.
Rob Heron. And David Hiller's chairperson. Right. Okay. Okay. Stan, if you're interested, Rules and Social have open positions for liaisons, so we can talk about that after the meeting. Okay. Okay, moving on. Okay. The next item under new business, oh, I'm sorry, we need to approve all these members that we've agreed to. Do I have a motion to approve these members?
So
Committees? Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor of approving the current members, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. It's formal. Okay, apologize for messing that up. The next item on the agenda for new business is the proposal from Juniper for a storm cleanup agreement. Steve, can you go through your resolution on that, please?
Yes. Whereas the Association Board of Directors authorizes Juniper Landscaping to provide storm cleanup after a major storm in following rates. Non-arborist functions is $85 an hour. Truck for debris hauling is $375 per truck. Juniper owned equipment, including the operator, is $118 per hour. Tree staking for a standard tree is 68 per tree. Tree staking for a large tree is 98 per tree. And arbor crew, which would be a 5-person crew, is $6,500 a day. Be it resolved that the Association Board of Directors authorizes Juniper Landscaping to begin storm cleanup at a total cost not to exceed $200,000.
Do I have a second?
I'll second, I have a question.
yeah, you said
Yes. So, Dave, do you want to do any explanation first, and then
Yeah, we had them last year, and the rates did go up, but not by a considerable amount of money. So I guess I'd rather entertain your questions and see if that answers it. Or are you
That,
interested?
that wasn't my question. My question is that if, suppose it's a major thing like a power report. I know when, in the case of Crawford, you know, we didn't really get a bite till it's already spent $450,000. So I understand that not to exceed 200,000, but we need to have some degree if we're going beyond that. Because we will need to go beyond that in a minute.
Yes, but the agreement is that they will go up to $200,000 and then come back and say, all right, this is what else we have to do, so that we just don't want them to do what Crawford did, where all of a sudden we're $450,000
We
that we owe
don't
them.
want them to do 200,000 quit. Because
No.
we'll need them
No.
beyond that.
Yeah, no, they understand that, and they recommend that you do set some type of limit like that, so that, you know, they don't bring in 50 people and the end of the first day you're over budget.
Right, sure.
so also I think, Jen, it's fair to say that in a storm situation, the board has some emergency powers to
Yeah.
move things quickly along with Juniper if we need to do more than 200 grand of cleanup.
And if we don't do something like this, we're not a priority.
Oh, well, we got it.
Yeah, this puts us at the top of the list. Yeah.
And
right. Okay.
it does identify that in the specs that they will
Yeah.
readjust the budget.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions for Dave on this one?
Mine's answered.
Okay. I'm going to call the question. All those in favor of approving the resolution to execute the agreement with Juniper for storm cleanup, please say aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
None opposed? Okay, thank you. All right. The next item on new business is invasive vegetation removal. Dave, could you read the resolution, please?
Yes. Whereas the city of Cape Coral, Florida has issued a notice of violation for having prohibited vegetation in parcel number 29-44-23-0031A.00CE. Be it resolved that Association Board of Directors authorizes Solitude Lake Management to spray and or remove the invasive species from parcel 29-44-23-C3-0038.00CE at a cost of $11,000. Be it further resolved that Association Board of Directors authorizes an increase in the 2025 operating expense budget line item GL 5722-00-00 mowing and edging distressed lots from $2,000 to $13,000.
Do I have a second?
Is that That's part of the same resolution.
Yes.
Yes.
I understand this. Okay. Second part.
Well,
Second.
Second. Yeah.
okay.
All right, so-
then let me explain it. Right now, we have $2,000 sitting in the budget for distressed lots. And I don't want to take it from there in case anything else comes up. So what I'm asking is that we approve adding $11,000 to it. So
To the
that,
budget line.
to the budget line.
I have no problem. I wonder why you're lumping these together. That's all. They're two totally separate deals, aren't they?
No,
Yes.
it's to pay the $11,000 to Solitude.
So the choice is, John, if we approve this proposal from Solitude,
Right.
we will charge $11,000 to this general ledger line item.
Okay.
Okay, and it'll now show $11,000 in the red. If we have to do the other 2,000 of distressed lots, which is primarily for abandoned houses and other activities that we need to take into account. So what they're asking for is to not only to pay to do this, but to recognize it by increasing the budget line for it.
I understand we have to do this.
Yes.
We're forced to do it. I wonder if we all understand the consequences of having done this. Now, this is the land bridge between two private properties, right?
Correct.
Okay. And it's been declared, for whatever reason, preserved. Okay. And if the resolution is to remove all invasive species for that reserve, and we're paying Solitude to do it, it's gonna be bare.
That
There's nothing but invasive species in there.
When I spoke
So
to
what's gonna happen with that piece of land after the fact?
when I spoke to the code compliance officer at the city of Cape Coral,
Right.
he told me that if we tried to fight this, we would be taken to court.
Well, I understand.
So-
I understand we can't fight it, but what's gonna happen after is the real issue. So
That's gonna look fair.
it becomes a park between two places, but
what-
it's not.
And the other consequence, John, is that we're going to have to include this in every budget going forward.
Well, we're not gonna put grass in there, right?
No.
No.
I-
All we're doing is
I mean,
removing
we're gonna clear
invasive
it out.
species. Right.
And it's gonna erode.
Where is this located at?
It's at the end of Sunvale Street. Here, actually, this document here. So Sunvale comes back here. There's a lake here, and then it's all back in here where and it also touches whatever the street is that comes off of Sunvale.
Do we have other questions or comments on this resolution?
I'd
Yes,
like
David.
I'd like to make a comment. Just the act that we're removing the invasive species doesn't preclude that other non-invasive wildlife, plants and weeds can grow in there.
That's correct. I mean, the
So-
contract is to take out what the city considers invasive and prohibited species.
I don't see a problem with
Well,
it.
the caveat is that because it has been now clearly labeled as a preserve, only a licensed vendor that's licensed to do aquatic areas can touch it. You can't have our landscape vendor go in there.
And that's why we have Solitude, because when I asked
Right.
Juniper to go back there and look at it, they said, we are not licensed to go
We
back
can't
there and
sod
do
it.
that.
They can't sod or anything else. It's gonna be a
So
eyesore.
we're limited
Right.
to who can do it.
Well, my point is that it's not an eyesore, it's just we get rid of the invasive species and any other wild weeds that are non-invasive grow back in, so it's still a
Correct.
preserve.
Correct.
Well, so, and I gotta be very frank, we tried to find an official designation of that area as preserved. And it's been a bit of a challenge.
Because we decided it was a preserve, the city doesn't agree with us that that's a preserve. So
Okay.
Kind of rock hard.
Yeah, you said exactly, Rob. Okay. Any other questions on this?
No.
All those in favor of the resolution to accept the quote from Solitude Lake for removal of invasive species and to recognize the cost by increasing the line item in the budget. Please raise your hand and say aye.
I,
None opposed? Thank you. Okay. Next item on new business is reserve project approval, pool equipment overhaul. Chuck?
Yes, as I mentioned in my GM report, we're seeking approval for $76,500. This project started before I even came on board here. Then we had a little hurricane which sidetracked it. This has been kind of a long-standing, the mechanical equipment and plumbing for the pool it's at its end of life. We've been kind of duct tape and bubble gumming everything together, and we finally found a contractor after 2 years of searching, an electrician, and this has been budgeted. It's been on the reserve for the last couple of years, but we've never been able to find people to actually do the work. So this is for 76,500, which is in the reserve budget. And the invoice, this is for 50% of the payment for deposit. Somebody's got a motion other than me.
So
Okay.
Dave, you're making the motion to approve this reserve expenditure
This
request.
moving forward, yeah.
Okay. And who seconded it? John. So Dave, this was reviewed by the finance committee
Yes, it was.
and they approved it?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Chuck, I just have a few questions on this project.
Yes, sir.
How long, do you have any sense of what the duration of this project will be?
It could be 2 to 3 weeks.
So we're talking about the pool being closed for 2 to 3 weeks to get this completed.
Yes, sir.
Will you have to drain water at that time?
Yes.
Okay.
Not all of it, but
All right. So then it's, I assume we'll be looking at trying to do some painting of some of the water accessories during that period and stuff
yes.
like that.
Mhm.
Good. All right. All right.
The do nothing option puts us in a precarious position that if it breaks, if the plumbing breaks, we can be down for a lot longer than
Yeah.
3 weeks.
We've known this a long time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just wanted just in the issue of transparency, I just want everybody to know how long we're talking about, and and you try to delay it till after the the snowbird season, so that
Yeah.
we can minimize the disruptions to the community for closing the pool down.
Yep.
Okay. Any other questions on this? All in favor of approving this reserve expenditure request, please say aye and raise your hand.
I,
None opposed? Thank you. Okay. Last item under new business is the operating budget change to increase the fitness room maintenance schedule from quarterly to monthly. Do I have a resolution for that? I'll make the resolution to move to change the fitness room maintenance from quarterly to monthly. Do I have a second?
second.
Okay, Chuck, can you go through the numbers on this one, please?
Yes, we're currently paying $250 each quarter for a service visit, at which time, if anything's broken, additional monies are needed to replace parts. With the increase of usage of the gym, which is great, however, we're starting to see more and more failures of machines breaking down. This is an additional 200, go from $250 every quarter to $250 every month, and have a professional come in there to check machines for safety reasons, clean the machines, and find any wear and tear items that need to be replaced, which they bring to our attention. We approve that and then kind of move it forward. At any given time, we've had at least one treadmill out of service, and a couple of other machines that have been down. And I think, knock wood, right now, I think everything is back. We've also ordered some more spare parts. But our maintenance team is not qualified to work on these machines. So that's why we have to have a certified professional come in. So I think it's a good thing that the usage is going up. It's an asset to the community. It's being well used. I just think it's time to kind of move up the maintenance.
Any questions on this for Chuck?
Just have a comment. I just 2 weeks ago, it does get real busy, which is great, and we need one more piece of equipment, probably for later conversation. But I snapped one of the cables and it came down and smashed into my thighs, and I couldn't walk, barely walk for a week or two. Um, so this is a very good thing to do. We need those machines at all times to be running properly. I mean, I was just thinking if it was one of my kids or somebody else in there, they would have got seriously hurt. I'm just lucky that I got hit on my thighs perfectly square.
Yeah,
But still,
it's a fair comment from a liability perspective.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
know, and I thought I was hurt and I was, but not bad enough to, but it happens and it's snapped on. So this is a great idea.
Okay.
I was there, I saw
Yeah. Yeah, remember?
Oh, yeah.
I almost, I cursed.
He didn't swear.
No,
Oh, really?
I was in pain.
Okay. All right. Any other questions on this one? Okay. All those in favor of increasing the fitness room maintenance schedule and cost from quarterly to monthly, please raise your hand and say aye. Aye. None opposed? Okay. Next item on the agenda are committee reports. For the ad hoc internet construction compliance committee, we have three major milestones occurring. The first one is we are planning a groundbreaking with Blue Stream to be happening on May 5th. And the second major thing is that I understand that they are contributing to the Cinco de Mayo celebration that we are doing at the community. We've been working out the details for that. And the third major thing is that they will be starting in-ground construction on or about May 6th. And then
The groundbreaking at the clubhouse.
right at the clubhouse, right? And you should have gotten the invitation for that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so they will be issuing communications to each affected neighborhood as they start the construction through the various communities. And then I will ask Frank Hennigan to come here probably in for the June meeting to give a detailed report to the board how construction is proceeding. Any questions on that? Okay. Communications committee.
No current update. That one's on me because as the acting chair, I was supposed to schedule it, so I apologize to the committee members that I didn't get that scheduled. I'll pick up the ball though. We'll get one scheduled for next month.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Fire committee, Rob.
Continue to meet twice a month, first and third Saturdays, here in Pelican Building. Things are going pretty smoothly. Roofs are calmed down. Seem to be a lot of hurricane windows going in, but otherwise, no.
And storm shutters.
Well, no storm shutters.
A lot of windows.
Yeah, some windows, lots of windows.
Yeah.
Windows, storm shutters, everything. But I mean, we had one spurt of 2 weeks. I mean, this last Saturday we had 8 or 10, I think, something like that, which has been normal. But now, 2 weeks prior to that, we had 15, but that was just everybody's just put them in at the same time. But otherwise, things are going well. Things are getting done.
Okay. All right. Thank you. We have no report for rules committee, social committee.
No one was as social liaison, but I was the last one. And what I would point out is that social it continues to be extremely well established in our calendars. Look at your calendar. We had a fantastic Easter. There's Cinco de Mayo coming up, and this is a great committee. I look forward to one of you being a liaison to it. It should be fun.
You got to twist some arms, John.
What?
Got to twist the guy's arm next to you.
I-
Just to add to that, so I understand some of the things that are on the calendar is that we have Katie Wall scheduled to do a presentation to the community in second week of May, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Yep, to talk about storm preparation.
There are cops tomorrow, right?
And we'll have to, Vic and Jack will have to work about trying to get that recorded. See if we can make some provisions for that. So, yeah. Okay, good. All right, thank you. Amenities, Jim?
Jim?
Amenities/gym, sorry.
Slash Jim. It doesn't say that on the agenda, but it says slash dog park. You have a different agenda than me?
Well,
Yeah, I understand, no problem.
well, dog parks are separate, is a subcommittee, so we're gonna hit them separately.
Oh, okay. Amenities, Chuck reported about the problem with the playground. Fences, around the pickleball and, tennis courts have been repaired. There might still be a few more repairs that need to be done. I think as Chuck pointed out in his newsletter last week that the 2 new showers are at the pool for when you get out of the pool. There's 2 brand new showers. And then of course all the pool upgrade that we talked about, you know, all the stuff that's getting done. Other than that, we got cameras at the bocce courts to try to cut down on the vandalism, figure out who's doing it. It's been all right the past couple of weeks, but if it goes that way, then somebody decides they want to play in the sand. Anyway, that's about it. The gym, you guys know the situation with the gym. So, that's about it.
Okay, thank you. Dog park subcommittee?
Dog parks are doing great. We have, some progress with maintenance, working on hole fills where, where that's happened. There's a couple of other ongoing kind of activities that are being monitored. That's a good thing. There is a report that we're needing to have Juniper go back and hit for the prickly weeds that are, the thorny weeds that are in the grass. So that's a request I was asked to pass on by the committee. And then, we're still working with Chuck and Brian and the team to kind of get the benches acquired over time here from our budget from last that we approved for this year. Other than that, things are going pretty well.
Good. All right. We're gonna pass on safety security committee for this month. Lakes committee. I think Chuck is gonna step in that.
Cover that one. So where we're at, excuse me. With Lakes, Seabreeze, we're currently going back and forth with contract modifications for the shore restoration project. Our attorney sent our red lines, and it's now in the hands of Seabreeze. Their president's been on vacation, so hopefully we should hear something by tomorrow or Monday as to any changes that they want to make. So we hope to get that moving forward. We're still in dry season, and I know Jane's excited to see if we can get this thing on the schedule, and so are they. On the other side on the service side, the committee has actively put together an RFP. The RFP has gone out. They've interviewed multiple companies, including Solitude, to see if there's any benefit of changing to a different vendor. So we can see some different people out here taking care of the lakes is the goal. So they're currently now looking at references, and they're almost completing their interviews. And I think Jane mentioned that probably by next meeting they'll be able to bring a recommendation to the board.
Yeah. All right. Thank you. Any questions on Lakes Committee? Okay. Finance Committee.
You skip covenants.
Pardon me?
Covenants.
Covenants.
I'm sorry, I'm following, I'm looking at the wrong list. We'll get to covenants.
Okay.
Okay, I met with my first meeting with the Commons Committee. A very effective group of people. There were two cases presented that the board had voted on the punishment, and both they supported the board's position in both cases. It was a very effective meeting.
Okay. Any questions for John? All right. Finance Committee.
Finance Committee. First thing and most important thing is we are still looking for any members that want to join the Finance Committee. But other than that, we met last Tuesday and we reviewed the monthly financials, and we still have a lot of questions about some of the numbers and how things are being posted. Chuck met with someone from accounting yesterday, and they resolved a lot of things that won't, like I mentioned in my treasurer's report, we'll see come through in the uh, April financial numbers. The auditor, once the auditor completes the audit, um, that's when we're going to go in and we're going to try to do a cash flow analysis to see where where everything stands and any adjustments that we may want to make from, for example, extra money in the operating budget, move that over to the reserves. I like I also said earlier, I feel a lot better about how the audit is proceeding just based on the last few days with the number of emails and telephone conversations that I've had with the auditor, and precedent is working with the auditor. So I think we're going to see this get resolved soon. And that's it for finance, unless anybody on the board has questions.
Okay.
All right. Landscaping.
Landscaping. Thank you. Yes, landscaping.
Um, landscaping. I am going through the contract, and I have identified areas that I don't think Juniper lived up to the contract in terms of the number of cuts, especially around the perimeter. Contract clearly states that they're supposed to do X number of mows, and they're supposed to do X number of weed control. And in my opinion, they have not done all of those. They recognize they haven't done all of those, but I'm sure there's going to be a discussion about what I think versus what they think. Um, right now, I'm up to $82,000 that they owe us for 2024. I'm sure that that's not what the final number will be, but that's where it stands. And um, I let them know in no uncertain terms the last meeting we had that I was unhappy with what they said that they haven't done. And we're going to have to sit down with some higher level Juniper uh, officers to discuss this. And I'm hoping to get something scheduled next week.
You above Kyle?
I would rather start with Kyle. Kyle has been promoted.
Oh yeah.
Yes. So Alberto, I don't know if you remember him. He was moved into Kyle's position.
Okay.
So
Kyle. Respect.
um,
Is Kyle looking our way for this compensation, or what?
he he is aware of it, but he doesn't know the amount yet.
The excuse is just that we don't have enough people, but that's not our
That is not my problem.
Exactly. Yeah.
I know there are certain things that the contract said, for example, weed control. They did 12 in 2024, and the contract stated 14, so we paid 14. They were short on pruning, and the biggest issue is going to be the perimeter, because that we'd have to be there every day monitoring them, and there's not enough people to do that, and nobody wants to do that. But I think that they owe us some money for some things that haven't been done. And until we meet with Kyle and whoever else, I don't know where we stand. So that's the landscape report. Unless anybody has any questions.
Okay. Dave, next one is the ad hoc committee on legal representation.
Okay. The legal representation, the committee put together an RFP. It went out on Tuesday, and I would believe we're expecting responses within 2 weeks. I think 3 of the law firms have already responded. So we're waiting to get all that back, analyze it, do some interviews, and go on from there.
In addition to that, there's we're not doing a formal RFP with Becker, but we're sending them a separate letter
Yes,
asking them to respond to the fundamental requirements that we're looking for to go forward.
yes, since we've been dealing with them for so many years, we didn't feel we needed to start from the beginning with them.
Okay. Any questions for Dave on this? Do you have a timeline that you're working to think of bringing something to the board for consideration?
Hoping that we have something at the next board meeting.
Oh, the end of May.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Excellent. Yeah, I believe the resolution required them to have the proposal by the end of May, so if not, then we'll probably have to make an amendment to that. Okay.
But I'm pretty confident we'll be able to have something by then.
Okay, very good. All right. All right. Risk management, we have no report. Strategic planning?
Yeah, there's no new update. I'm still working on getting the initial, since my liaison has taken over the initial meeting together. I did spend a good amount of time reviewing the entire strategic plan. And in general, I'd say my general comment is it's an excellent high-level plan, but we need to make it bite-sized, actionable, and measurable. That would be the only thing that I'd say on that plan.
Yeah, I mean it's approaching almost 2 years old at this point.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Any questions for Dave on strategic planning? Okay. All right, thank you. All right, the next board meeting is for May is Thursday, May 29th at 6 p.m. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Does anybody wish to have to address the board at this point?